Hello, everyone. I'm Suzan Abbo, the Managing Director at the Center for Research in Energy and Energy Conservation at Makerere University in Uganda. And today I'll present on scaling up rural electrification in Uganda, the potential of mini-grids. In Uganda, our electricity demand is just over 650 megawatts. And our access numbers are still quite low, as you can see below here. The national access rate is at 26.7%. The rural access rate is much lower at 18%. So 82% of the rural population does not have access to electricity, and the urban access is at 57.5%. These are numbers from the Electricity Regulatory Authority in Uganda on our total installed capacity of electricity generation. And what is important to note here is there is a contribution from off-grid supply that has been increasing over time. We're now at 5.9 megawatts out of the 1,252.4 megawatts installed in the country. And this demonstrates that there is a potential for the off-grid supply to increase its contribution to the overall supply of electricity to the country. In terms of the technologies that are available, Uganda is well endowed with renewable energy resources, as well as fossil fuels. But most of our power has been coming from hydro, as you can see here, with the biggest contribution of over 80%. But interesting to note is the solar PV at 50.8 megawatts and contribution from biomass resources. And this also demonstrates the potential of renewable energy sources for small grids in the country. In terms of off-grid generation and sales, by 2018, we had over 19,000 customers, the biggest number of customers coming from the domestic side, all powered by off-grid systems. And here we have two examples of companies that are supplying power with mini-grids. There's Kalangala Infrastructure Services supplying an island, and West Nile Rural Electrification Company supplying part of the West Nile region in Uganda. The government has been providing a number of incentives to see accelerated development of mini-grids in the country. And these are some of the things that have been achieved in the past years. They have integrated the planning, electrification policies to include mini-grids. A rural electrification agency was established to see increase in rural electrification in the country, and the agency has now developed a master plan that defines mini-grid areas that can be developed. Also, the government has provided some exemptions on licenses for mini-grids below 2 megawatts. tax exemptions on solar products, and they've made lighter environmental management plans for mini-grids, which was not there before. We've also seen development of templates for feasibilities, business plans, and financial models, as well as the simplification of the application process for small grids. In terms of the structure, the government has also integrated planning under the Ministry of Energy of the mini-grid development with channels for private sector to engage with the government departments on energy. As you can see here, we have Rural Electrification Agency, we have the Electricity Regulatory Authority. At the top, we have the Ministry of Energy that is overseeing and has a mandate on policy on anything to do with energy and electricity. And this has improved on the integration of planning. There's still more work to be done, but this is a good step. The Rural Electrification Master Plan that was developed by the Rural Electrification Agency has gone a long way in encouraging development of mini-grids, in guiding the planning, and bringing sector players together in a harmonized way. You see here in the table, we have within the plan 13 service territories in the different regions of the country. And the plan is to have 683 mini-grids serving over 104,000 households within this plan. Currently, we have 12 operational mini-grids as pilots, and under implementation are 56 villages that are being developed in partnership with different stakeholders and development partners like GIZ, and 2 feasibilities underway, also working with development partners, again like GIZ, which is the German corporation here, supporting the Ministry of Energy on energy projects, as well as partners like Worldwide Fund for Nature and others. These are just maps to show the distribution of the planned mini-grid sites in the service territories in West Nile, the northern part, central north and northeastern parts of the country. The blue dots represent the proposed sites in the first phase of the plan, and the orange dots represent the sites in the second. This is the same plan, but for service territories in the Rwenzori, northwestern, western, midwestern, southwestern, and southern parts of the country. And the blue dots and the orange dots represent the same as in the slide before. In terms of the potential of mini-grids in Uganda, in addition to what the government is doing, a look into the aspects of the communities where these mini-grids will be installed presents very promising opportunities. First of all, proximity. So a study was done by Project RISE in 2019 within the communities that would be viable for mini-grids. And this graph here represents the potential that mini-grids have in attracting small businesses in these communities in rural areas. You can see here that the shorter the distance from the grid, the higher the number of businesses agglomerated around it. And therefore, this means for areas where grid extension is still too costly for the government to implement, the mini-grids have the potential to drive economic development in those areas. In terms of community priorities, and these are priorities in terms of their purchases and where they invest their money most or spend most. You see education here, followed by agriculture, buildings, and others. Mini-grids have the opportunity and the potential to power multiple sectors within communities. And so this data that was picked from the communities as areas of interest that mini-grid developers or planners can take into account during design. Also looking at the end user needs, lighting ranked very high, followed by charging devices, entertainment, cooking, and the others. So all these can be powered by mini-grids in a sustainable way. There is a huge discussion now within the sector on the potential of mini-grids to power productive uses or appliances for production. If you look here, under agriculture, agro-processing, irrigation, water pumping, milling. If you look at small-scale industries, carpentry, sewing, welding, under retail, restaurants, and under services, battery charging, hairdressing, and entertainment. So all these are opportunities, and all these loads in these categories can be adequately powered mini-grids, well-designed mini-grids, smart grids. As a summary, this is an overview of the key aspects. What we'll need to do to be able to achieve the goals of the Rural Electrification Agency's master plan that I presented earlier, and integrate planning, consider all the user needs, consider adequate participation of all stakeholders, and the right environment for mini-grids to thrive. So one is innovative business models. We'll have to design business models that are very distinct with clear value propositions and are developed in an integrated manner. There has to be institutional facilitation, including capacity building of the relevant institutions to improve effectiveness in planning, standardization of regulations that are required for the mini-grids to run sustainably, and supportive policies that should include local benefits and should be informed by research. And then we have the community engagement. The communities are the end users, and there has to be a need-based or a human-centered system design that gives them the opportunity to participate in planning, that their ideas are picked right from the start of planning and not towards the end, like the conventional way has been. And we believe if these three are implemented, we will scale rural electrification through mini-grids much faster. This, of course, will require a lot of harmony in planning, linkages with the key stakeholders, and with well-defined motivations and roles and contributions to the development of the mini-grids in the country. CREEC and Cera will mainly contribute research outputs, especially from the project funded by EPSRC on creating resilient, sustainable microgrids through hybrid renewable energy systems. And as CREEC, we will engage policy makers, energy planners, and the sector, in by disseminating the results from this study to aid in better planning. The tools that are developed from the research can be used by the energy planners to design more robust and smarter grids. CREEC fits in very well with our mission to enhance access to modern types of energy through research, training, and consultancy. Our areas include rural electrification, which is what we're talking about, but also energy for productive use, and household energy, energy entrepreneurship, which are all key topics within the mini-grid development, energy efficiency as well. And we have a supportive wing on testing of renewable energy technologies to ensure good quality products. And with our general approach of picking primary data on demand, fuel technology application, human factor, in order to scale up, we'll apply this as we engage with the different players in the sector. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you for the very nice presentation, Mary Suzan. I don't know, are you online? Can you unmute the microphone? Let's see. I cannot see. There is Mary Suzan. Just give me a second. We'll make her presenter. No. Mary Suzan, can you unmute?
Yes, now I can see the microphone. Thank you, Dr. Petros.
No, thank you for the very nice presentation. There is a question from Elizabeth. Basically, there are two questions. One is who operates mini-grids in rural areas? I mean, what type of models do you have for the operation of mini-grids in rural areas? Yeah, you can answer that one and then we can go to the next.
Okay, thank you. So in Uganda, the Rural Electrification Agency has the mandate over all mini-grids in the rural areas. And as I showed earlier, they've divided the whole country into 13 electric service territories. However, the actual mini-grids are run by the private sector. So I mentioned some of the companies on the slide on structures, like Kalangala Infrastructure Services, and the plan is to increase the participation of private sector according to that plan, according to the master plan of the Electrification Agency.
Okay, thank you very much. Now the next question, I'm not sure if I understand that very well. Is that are there any interests on a specific type of renewable energies in Uganda? I mean, is there a push either inside Uganda or outside about the specific types of renewable energy, or yeah?
Okay, so Uganda is really well endowed with a number of renewable energy. And in the renewable energy policy, several are mentioned in terms of the potential we have. So we have solar PV, we have biomass resources. So if you look into bioenergy technologies like gasification, combustion, such as the one I showed earlier in the mix of the generation for the country. And then we also have some wind, geothermal is about 450 megawatts in terms of potential, and then small hydropower, which is about 200 megawatts in potential. So this is the mix now. Now, depending on the funding and the partnerships, there are, of course, projects that are more focused on particular technologies like solar. Within the Get Fit program here in Uganda, solar power for off-grid systems has been in focus, and so that's why you see a big contribution from solar. But generally, whenever we are discussing with partners, the Ministry of Energy, the people in the sector present opportunities or the potential for all these renewable energy resources that I've mentioned.
Okay, thank you very much. I will have to stop here so that we have some time